Crystal Palace, Rebecca, winning their first major trophy ever. Quite a long wait. I think if you watch the first Crystal Palace game, you'd be something like 125 or something, and you'd have had to watch it as a pretty young child. So, wow, what a wait for a victory. And how does that make you feel as a team like Crystal Palace winning the FA Cup over the mighty Manchester City?
I think we're going to have to put the apologies to Graham out for this whole section, or just tell him to just come back later, because I feel like for this bit, huge congratulations to Palace. I mean, to see someone else winning a cup is just incredible, and for them to do it for the first time as well, it is great. And with this season, nothing has been written. You couldn't write any of it. We've had a different team winning the league, Carabao Cup, FA Cup. It's all it's different and it's good. I mean, fair play to Palace. They did what they could. I can't get my words out. They did what they had to, and what they did well. I mean, Eberechi, I think I've spoken about him a few times on the score sheet. That's just incredible. He is a standout for Palace. Keeping him fit, he is an incredibly talented player. There was the argument whether Dean Henderson should have been sent off or not. Does he handle it outside the box? I think he does. But, I mean, VAR is there, didn't work, so he stayed on, and an incredible penalty save came from it. So, I mean, fair play. I am still confused as to why Haaland didn't take the penalty, to say he stood there and kissed the ball and then just didn't take it. I'm still unsure as to why, but that's City for you. I don't think they can, it just hasn't gone to plan for them this season at all. And I think that one penalty summed it up of they don't know what they're doing at the minute, and that just seems to be clear throughout the season. And to say this is the first time in, is it over 10 years that Pep Guardiola's not won a trophy? It's madness. But yeah, they did have a few chances, but Palace, I mean, Dean Henderson, the saves he was pulling off, again, whether he should have been on the pitches, it is what it is. But I don't know if any of you have seen the video of him afterwards singing his new favourite song.
If you can't celebrate with a song, an FA Cup final victory, when can you celebrate with a song? This is exactly it. As you said, Rebecca, Dean Henderson was on fire. Of course, that incident with the red card, yes, was outside the box. They said he was going away from goal. And you're kind of like, well, it was once he punched it. That definitely changed the trajectory of the ball. But he had an absolutely fantastic game. Sean says he was a very, very lucky boy, and Johnny says super hendo in the nets. He certainly was. So, Wes, how do you find, say, Crystal Palace getting to the final? Oliver Glasner was kind of talking afterwards and felt like, they'd kind of had this run, and the confidence within the dressing room and the way that he spoke afterwards, they felt that they really did it. For you, Crystal Palace fully deserving their victory, and only one goal conceded as well throughout the whole FA Cup.
Yeah, I think it's a notorious thing with the Glasner side that they get stronger as the season's gone on. I think we saw that towards the back end of last year. I know he sort of came in halfway through the season, but Palace had a really strong end to the season. And I think, again, when he was at Frankfurt, notoriously slow starters, but then once they clicked and got themselves into gear, again, finished really strong. I thought City were terrible. They missed, it's easy to say they missed Rodri, but I also think not just him personally, but I think that profile of midfielder, that more defensive-minded midfield player. Because yes, Palace sat back and defended the width of their box in a low block, but it was when they sprung out and went to counter, they looked really dangerous, and you just felt like there was nobody in that City midfield to just have that sixth sense and sense danger and almost put out the fires and stop the counter attacks and make those little tactical fouls that, Fernandinho was notorious for doing and would always apologise with a smile. And then on his 9th foul, would then get a talking to. So, yeah, I thought Palace were brilliant. Munoz was superb as well, up and down that right-hand side for Palace. I thought the defence, Gueye, Lacroix, again, absolutely brilliant. Adam Wharton, anybody that knows me knows I am a huge Adam Wharton fan. Was literally begging Spurs to sign him last January. And he looks an absolute bargain at 18 million coming out of Blackburn. And I think he will be an England regular for me. And if he's not, then I think there's got to be some questions asked, because we always want to produce players like Adam Wharton. And we always moan that we don't produce players like Adam Wharton. We've got one now. Let's look after him a little bit and let's give him, the recognition and, the plaudits that he deserves and the recognition with England as well, like internationally. Because again, I thought he's brilliant. And, as Rebecca said, Eze, the difference maker. How many times we said that for Palace, over the years since he's been there. And I think he's really taken on that main man mantra from the fact that Zaha's gone, Elise's gone. He could have easily stunk up the place this season and gone look, I've seen my mates move. When's my time to move? Obviously, his move didn't come in the summer, and he had a slow start, but again, has really come to the fore at the end of the season. But no, for me, Palace on the day were brilliant, but it was just really poor from City, on the ball, just terrible. And like I said, I think their biggest thing was when I was watching the game was they needed to get either Rodri or Nico Gonzalez on the pitch. I don't know if Nico Gonzalez was injured, but they just needed somebody in there just to have that sixth sense and be right, I'm going to snuff out that danger, stop the counter-attack, stop Munoz from really progressing, up the pitch in the way that he did. And I think that's what killed City, because also when you saw them attacking and they were in and around Palace's box, they didn't really have anybody just to pop it back to and switch quickly. Which is a big feature of City's play, in and around the penalty box. They will get it to one player who will then switch it, isolate their winger 1v1 with the opposition fullback, and then get some crosses in. So like I say, I think for me, City poor, but take nothing away from Palace. They were excellent.
Yeah, it was a sensational victory. And I think probably it was kind of framed a little bit because of the Premier League game between the two not that long ago. Of course, Palace went down 5-2, but had a really good start against Manchester City and then got on top. I saw some interesting comments, I think, from Glasner, who had sort of said to Pep afterwards and said, if you do that again, when we come up next time, I'm going to work it out and I'm going to stop you, which I love that. I love that sort of bit of kind of, I'm a tactical, clever genius and you're going to find out. And you're going to find out on the biggest stage of it all. Graham, however, not happy, of course. He hopes Haaland's hair falls out, that Pep's jumper gives him the itch. And he hopes their blue moon gets covered with a permanent eclipse. But he's not bitter. He's not bitter at all. So yeah, touching on what you said there was that you've got sort of the fantastic Munoz going down the right hand side. They played it absolutely perfectly the way that they needed to play it. Did you think on Pep's side of things with the four, you mentioned about sort of not having that midfielder, was it another case of Pep in a final? Because there's always been a bit of criticism, maybe overthinking stuff. Is it another case of that?
Potentially. I think he's gone in there to try and obviously dominate the ball and almost overcrowd the central area. And I think obviously he tried to do that in the Champions League final against Chelsea and it backfired massively. Because Chelsea, I think the main difference was Chelsea had a lot of energy in their midfield, so they could almost outrun City. Whereas I don't think Palace have got that engine in the midfield. They've got, like I say, Wharton, fantastic technician, unbelievable passer of the ball. Lerma didn't play, who's got a lot of energy. Czech Decore didn't play, who's got a lot of energy. So, it was just one of those. I think Pep's tried to overcrowd that middle and just be like, right, we're going to just pop it round you and see what happens there. And it almost then became a little bit more chess-like, and I think that suited Palace because, as I mentioned earlier, they sat in that really low block. They went, right, have the ball in front and down the sides, but we're really going to let you play in between us. And I think the way Glasner just set them up, it was a really good tactical performance, I think, from Glasner in the sense of, how many times do we see a team like Atletico Madrid really dogged, low block, but know when to bounce out and when to press at the right moment? I think Palace did that really, really well. But yeah, I think Pep has probably got it right. I was looking at the wingers and I'm like, they couldn't isolate. Like Savinho wanted to try and come inside all the time, and I'm like, mate, if you're going to do that, you haven't got the fullback to go down the outside, because we went with Akanji and then Nico O'Reilly. We know Pep likes to have one that kind of comes into the middle of the pitch, but I don't think City really needed it. They almost needed Walker and Benjamin Mendy going down the outside, so you create those 2v1s in the wide areas and then get your crosses in that way. But yeah, Akanji was awful, didn't want to cross the ball when he got in the sort of half space and around the edge of the box, and there was plenty of times which he could have done that, like just throw one in there. I know, if you're putting it up in the air, it's probably food and drink for the back three of Palace, Gay, Lacroix, Richard, all good headers of the ball, can attack it really well, so maybe just put one in low crosses cause chaos I was actually speaking with an academy coach about this recently, and it was like, yeah, we want low crosses in because it just causes chaos in the box. Like someone swings a leg at it, it could go anywhere, or if it gets blocked, it then might fall out to somebody else who can then hit it with a first time finish. But yeah, to kind of answer your question, I think Pep approached it. I wouldn't say approached it wrong, but he could have changed it a lot quicker for me than what he actually did, because like I could see it and I'm like, well, 150, 200 miles away, say in Milton Keynes. Like if I can see it on the TV, I'm sure Pep, who's, you know, won everything that there is to win in the game, can surely see that the game needs changing. You feel it sometimes when you're watching a game, like, yeah, we've got to change it. We've got to do something different. And I think he just sort of sat there and kind of almost said to the players, like, look, you go and figure this out. But City just didn't have the quality on the day to really get anything really for me.
No, they didn't, and say that the missed penalty then became probably their biggest chance, or as well as a couple of saves, to be fair, that Henderson made. But strange one, Rebecca. Also, we'll come back to you because you mentioned it before about Haaland kissing the ball and then giving it over to Mush. I mean, I don't think that counts as an assist had he had scored. You know, that would have been a cheeky way to get some FPL points if it was the Premier League. But yeah, Haaland not taking the penalty, and then Marmoush, I saw some stats today. He's pretty consistent in that corner, not just from penalties, but also in terms of a lot of his shots this season have kind of gone down there. Dean Henderson's got playoff previous at Wembley as well, I think, way back on one of his loan moves. I think he saved in a playoff final as well. So got the job done. What did you take from sort of that penalty save? Do you think that was the real kind of turning point, and that all of a sudden that really gave belief to Palace and the fans that this is our day?
Yeah, because like the 1-0 up, you're thinking, right, we've seen what City can do over the seasons. We've seen what they can do this season. We were there for the Palace and City match when Palace took the lead and then City came back. And I think that was like one of them where you're thinking, right, could this happen again? So to be able for Dean Henderson to save the penalty, that was the point where Palace are like, right, we're settled in this match. We've got 1-0 lead. You're always going to be a bit like, oh, God, here we go. But they were settled with that 1-0. And it was one of them, that penalty save changed the match, because 1-1, it could have gone either way. I mean, it still could at 1-0, but you just knew that the Reds in it, like they're going to go for it. And I think it was just like the lift that they needed as well. Because it's like you see the celebrations after a penalty save, it's like that's what the team needs at times, just to like resettle them, get them back in, but then also boost them at the same time and be like, right, he can do that, we can go and win this sort of thing.
Yeah, it was a big, as you said, big moment. Big in terms of the celebration. Big for everybody. Everybody in the stands. Graham said the downfall of Grealish and Foden needs to be studied as well. As a drop off this season massively. It's, you know, Foden was player of the season last season, and we've not seen anything like that times this season. And Fordiolo, he's given the name. Hellas as a Jordan has joined us as well. Thank you for joining us this evening too. So from I want to get your perspective, Rebecca, from being an Everton fan and obviously seeing a team like Crystal Palace win the FA Cup. No disrespect to Crystal Palace, but no major trophies, as we said, in their entire history. To then go in to do it, that's the kind of thing surely that inspires you and thinks, you know, with Moyes' boys back in the Premier League, can they now do it in the FA Cup in the future? Does it give you hope for seasons to come?
Yeah, it massively does. I mean, we'll get into Everton later on, but it's one of them where when you've listened to what David Moyes has had to say over the weekend as well, it just shows that he said he came to a broken club and now he's got the club to where he needs it to be. But we can go further. It's like this season, him coming in, he did what he had to. It weren't much of a relegation battle with the three teams that have been relegated, but it was like coming into it, he knew what he had to do, got the points that we needed, and now it's looking to next season. And he's already said, and I think all of the players have said, that Everton are at the point now where we've got a solid team. We've got the manager that we need, who is Everton through and through. He is an Everton manager. Yeah, he's been other places, but we all know that David Moyes is Everton. So it's like to then have him and have the hope and the belief, and to be able to see teams like Palace do it, it does just back up what every player and Moyes has said this weekend, that we can go out and do it and we can start fighting higher up in the table.
This is it. It's given hope to everybody. Nick, welcome to the chat as well. Tell us Dean Henderson's last Wembley penalty save. It was when he was at loan at Shrewsbury. Yep, years ago. Fantastic. And Simon says, I feel like this season is why Pep has never stopped anywhere else this long. People figure him out and he doesn't know how to change things. I mean, that's a real question and conundrum he's certainly got coming up for next season. And that we'll see that play out, I'm sure, as that happens next season. But a question back to you, Wes, on the Crystal Palace and where they go from here. I mean, obviously, not just the FA Cup. It means European football. It means Europa League. You know, Europa League can bring glory. You know, what can it mean for Crystal Palace now going forward? What did they need to do? Can they keep the squad together? What's the next stage for this Palace team? Do they kick on or?
Well, listen, I just want to see some of the, some big European teams down Croydon on a Thursday night because they are going to get the shock of their life hitting up South London, let me tell you. But no, I think in terms of what this does for Palace now, it's huge. It is massive because there was probably talking of the summer of Gay potentially going, Eze going. I know he's been linked with Tottenham for the last however long. And I think obviously Gay's had his suitors. Obviously Newcastle came in with big bids for him last year. I know Tottenham have liked him as well. Whereas because I think with Palace, you kind of go, where they're going to finish 12th, right? And it's like we go again next year. We've stayed up. We're happy. We're in the Prem. We're getting the Prem money. Yeah, happy days. Now they've got Europe, and it's like, right, okay, lads, by the way, we got Europe, so you don't need to potentially seek another move to get that European football. You've got it here. So, I think that is a huge, huge plus in itself. I think it'll allow them to obviously attract that better caliber of player. I think we've seen that in the summer with the likes of Lacroix and Kamada coming in. I think obviously two players that Glasner knows well from his time in Germany, etc. I think it depends obviously on recruitment. I think it's going to be huge. I think Palace don't necessarily need to go out and spend a lot on their first 11. I think they just need to just beef out the squad. So adding in, some decent squad players because that Thursday-Sunday transition can be challenging and can be quite taxing on players, as Spurs have found out this year, and then some. And I think obviously if you do get a few injuries, it's going to kill you. So I think some squad players for me is what I'd be looking at for Palace to target in the summer. I don't think they've got too many out of contract either, which will be a big plus, I think, for them. So I think that's probably where they'll likely, or their next moves will likely go. But I think if they get drawn against Galatasaray in the league phase, that's going to start World War III, I think, because the ultras are going to be bang at it from both sides, I think.
Yeah, this is it. Waiting for the opportunity. And it's interesting, I think, with Crystal Palace and this sort of foray now, which will be into Europe and as a team, because probably say that a real young generation. It's 13 years now, I think, in the Premier League they've been. As you sort of said, was that 10th to 15th has been there and they're there. That's where they sit, and they've been an established Premier League club for a long time. But it wasn't always the case. And a number of years ago, I think they were administration, weren't they, on the verge of going out the Championship. So to suddenly to sort of in there, it's interesting to see. And you saw it in the emotion in the crowd. How many did you see of those kind of older generations who'd never seen anything from their club? And I think that was sort of something special to really enjoy.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's the beauty of, I guess, winning a trophy. Like, it gives you that moment of like euphoria and that sense of like, I've seen my team do something special. And I think that's going to live like those Palace fans have now got like lifelong memories, whether they remember most of the game or not, or the aftermath of it or whatever. But they've got that memory of like, I've seen my team win a trophy, and I've seen it at, the home of football, which is Wembley. Like, every player that you speak to wants to play at Wembley. It's just one of those where it's just that taste and that feeling of like, oh my God, I've just seen it. And it's like we're in Europe next year, and it's like, well, we can do this now. We got this happening. So I think the knock-on effect from it is huge. And I think one game away from near enough pretty much going extinct if they didn't beat Sheffield Wednesday in a game in the Championship all those years ago. And the Palace fans protesting outside Lloyd's Bank and stuff like that. I've seen a good documentary on on Palace. And if anybody hasn't watched it, I strongly advise that you do. And then, especially now, like in this sort of period, I definitely reckon, because then you'll understand the kind of hardship that, you know, the Palace players and the fans have gone through just to get that moment. And it's yes, it's the FA Cup, and it has probably lost its glamour and everything else. But listen, to those Palace fans, they don't care. They've won a major trophy, and they are going to be absolutely buzzing off the back of it. So
100%, and then there's no hangover at the minute because they're 2-1 up currently at Wolves. So I think a bit
There
of
you
a
go.
changed team, but they're definitely riding that wave in. And Manchester City are 2-0 up against Bournemouth as well. We'll come on to the European stuff very soon. Just the last bit, I think, on Palace. The one bit that I think I found the chink in Glasner's armour that almost came a cropper before the final. I saw that in there. Apparently, he has a famous, and it's a superstition, a post-match. Is it a bagel or a post-match? He has like a pretzel or something or other. There's some sort of after a press conference, he gets a special little sort of cake or something.
Doesn't he have a lucky jumper as well?
That's it. I think that too. And they said apparently there wasn't at the end of the press conference. It wasn't there. Whatever this pastry or whatever it was that he liked. So, but they went to the cafeteria and got it. And I think there was a panic that this could have set the whole FA Cup final off on the wrong kind of thing if the pastry wasn't available. So as a podcast that loves food and football mixed together, very important to get the pastry and get that.
Yeah.
Absolute classic.